What's up, y'all? We have another Breaking Bad boxing preview and prediction. We have the heavyweight clash at the O2 Arena here between Joseph Parker and Fabio Wardley. Before we get started, like, share, comment, subscribe. Let's jump right into it, y'all. 24 of those coming by way of knockout. 3 losses, 33-year-old fighter fighting by way of New Zealand. And you have Fabio Wardley. 19 wins, 18 of those coming by way of knockout. No losses, 1 draw. He is fighting out by way of UK, and he's 30 years old. You have a fighter here with Joseph Parker who definitely could have waited on the side for his title shot against Usyk here with the WBO interim title. As we know, Usyk wants a little bit of time off and a little bit of rest, and I don't think Joseph Parker really wanted to have that long of a layoff. So you have to give respect to him for taking a fight against someone like Fabio Wardley, who's kind of an unknown commodity. Fabio Wardley has kind of taken step by step, in my opinion, better competition over through the fights, from David Adelaide, then taking on Frazier Clark in his next fight, and then going up to Justice Huni, who he took the Justice Huni fight on short notice too as well. So that is something to note. I am really excited to see how Fabio Wardley goes through the ranks and goes as he gets a higher up of a competition. And Joseph Clark, who's not someone that's overly aged, his record is definitely large. He has over 40 fights in his professional career, but he's only 33 years old. A lot of miles on the gas tank, but I'm curious to see how that affects against a younger fighter, a little bit more of an athletic fighter, in my opinion, such as Fabio Wardley. So let's jump into the X's and O's. Let's jump into the tape. A little bit of a rambling of my thoughts on this fight here before we get started, but I'm excited for this one. Joseph Parker versus Simon Kean. You have Joseph Parker came out with a very wide guard in this fight here. In the first 2 rounds, he was probing him with long stabs to the body, long jabs to the body. Really patient game plan. You had Simon Kean, who landed a chopping right hand on Parker's wide guard early in the fight. But outside of that, really, it was really all Joseph Parker good, showing good punch variation, pairing with his backhand. In round 3, he started pulling Kean into his rear uppercut. And then in round 3 here, he was poking, set him up over the center line through the rear uppercut. Really started the beginning and the end for Kean here. And then he finished him off with another rear uppercut here. Really good performance here by Joseph Parker here. His double variation of a jab, both to the body and up high, I was really impressed with. Good variation of body punches in general. Good lead placement of his inside foot too as well. Joseph Parker versus Deontay Wilder. And I have to be honest, guys, this fight was not necessarily a pleasure to watch. So, man, give me a break for watching this fight twice. I watched it twice for this. So, while Parker was really forcing Wilder to think, feints, twitches, just really overloading his nervous system, overloading Wilder's mind. We really didn't see much in the first 3 rounds here, but one thing we did see pretty often was the fact that Joseph Parker would throw the right hand anytime that Deontay Wilder would shift from left and right or right to left and cross his feet. So Deontay Wilder has a very bad habit. Anytime he starts and starts shifting in opposite direction, he'll cross his feet while doing so. Joseph Parker got a good tell off of that. You can tell he has good ring IQ and good game planning because he kept throwing the right hand off of those feet cross. Rounds 1 and 3, Parker was very tentative, stab jab to the body, wasn't overly committing when it came to covering range. He was either fighting this fight on the inside, trying to do a clinch and minimize position, or fighting it from the long range. He had nothing to do with the mid-range, which is smart when it comes against the Bronze Bomber, who has a devastating hand, as we know. There was a lot of chasing by Joseph Parker in this fight. I didn't necessarily love how he didn't cut off the ring well. Felt like a lot of rinse and repeat up until round 8. Stab jabs to the body, stay all the way on the outside, cut it on the inside. Anytime that I'm going to get Deontay Wilder crossing his feet, I'm going to throw the right hand and keep him cornered. Even though we did have a hard time keeping Deontay cornered, even though Deontay was really fighting on the back foot defensively, looking for one shot the whole fight. The overhand right that landed in round 8 was a time bomb. He literally said, fuck it, I'm going in, swept the distance, and threw it. And then when it landed, he had Deontay Wilder hurt, had him against the ropes, and started unloading punches. Didn't necessarily have the greatest killer instinct here, and I felt like he definitely burned his gas tank a little bit, but he held his shape and composure for the rest of the fight here for you. I don't love the way Parker dips his head below his own center line and above his knees because it leaves a lot of room for uppercuts. Joseph Parker versus Weili Zhang. The reason I broke down this fight was not necessarily for a tactical breakdown. Of course, you can take away anything from tape, but this was a southpaw versus orthodox matchup. And Wardley versus Parker is going to be an orthodox versus orthodox matchup, so I want to note that. I wanted to see Joseph Parker's grittiness, toughness, cardio, and shape over 12 rounds is really what I was looking forward to. So, Parker accepted the back foot early and often against Zhang. One thing I do want to note about Joseph Parker is in all of his fights is he probes with his lead hand and will not throw his rear hand unless he's comfortable with his probing and lead hand. So that's one thing to note. He is a true veteran when it comes to that tactic. The first time he got dropped against Weili Zhang, he was simply being lazy. flat feet, staring straight at Zhang, and they got popped with the left hand. He got up and looked at his corner like, damn, this bloke can really hit. So it wasn't even like he was necessarily too staggered or hurt. Parker continuously invested in the body, straight shots to the body, hooks to the body. When Parker was going forward, he was consistently successful, controlling the foot position, putting his punches together. He had his best successes when he was meeting Zhang while Zhang was throwing his own punches. Yes, it's a roll of a dice with Russian roulette with someone that punches as heavy as Zhang, but when he was meeting Zhang and having him getting in those car crashes with him, so to speak, that's when he was having his best success by a country mile here. He lost the early rounds just accepting the back foot, trying to stay safe against Zhang, even in round 3 when he got dropped. But he came on strong rounds 4, 5, 6. Really strong against Zhang here, investing in the body, getting on that front foot, staying on of his outside shoulder and cutting angles to his great foot controlling position, great going back to the well when it came to beating up that body. And he stayed workmanlike, calm, cool, and collected, got up, tough, gritty chin. Even when he got dropped the second time, I felt like it was more from an overwhelming amount of pressure than it was really anything else, than it was a single shot that hurt him. So he has great shape. He's gritty as hell. He's tough as hell. There wasn't really one setup or shot selection that I saw in this fight that really stuck out in the tape to me, but it was a workmanlike performance that I just really respect in general. He really got through the fire in this case here, man. So big respect to Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker versus Martin McCauley. Right away, you notice the size of Joseph Parker. He was the heaviest he's ever been in his career. The next heaviest he was is 255 versus Joe Joyce. He came in at this fight against McCauley at 267. Yes, I know he needed to come in heavier for the punch resistance against McCauley, but holy hell, he looked far slower, noticeably slower from that 12-pound difference. His floating movements were definitely minimized with his weights, in my personal opinion. Parker leaned over his base and over his counters, which, again, left him susceptible to uppercuts. You saw in the end of round 1, he got hit with a shovel right hook by Martin McCauley. That was almost an uppercut variation, and it rocked him, staggered his leg, made him go straight. His double jab started getting off early in the second round, sweeping left hand in this fight, which I really love because McCauley drops his right-handed tendency, and it just seemed like part of the game plan. He was going into it knowing the sweeping left hand was going to land because we didn't see the sweeping left hand in either of his last 2 fights. So I really appreciated that fight over fight improvement and just throwing in the fight IQ semblance of it for Joseph Parker. I think we saw in round 2 a lot on the inside for Joseph Parker here. He was susceptible to the inside to the uppercuts and the left hooks to the ear. But offensively on the inside, his overhand right from close distance and when he was exiting was beautiful. And he had tight body shots on the inside. The overhand right's actually what dropped Martin McCauley as well. And he decided to punch with Martin McCauley. Got his head just slightly off a line and happened to land first. Devastating shot. So Joseph Parker, what do I like about him? I love his ring IQ, man. You can tell he's a very sharp fighter. He's a tactical breakdown kind of fighter. He definitely watches tape. He listens to his coaches, and he goes in with a game plan, and he sticks to his game plans. He doesn't get flustered in there whatsoever. Great feints, great level changes. He overloads his opponents with data to download. Incredible double jab. I love his overhand right. His rear uppercut is sneaky as hell. I wish he threw it more. He has gritty, tough conditioning. He has a great chin, in my opinion, especially at heavyweight and through all the wars he's been through. We haven't necessarily seen his chin completely grinded down yet. He's strong. He refused to be bullied. He has great shape and base. And I love his feet offensively. Offensively, I think he has great feet position. What do I dislike about him? I don't love his wide guard. I think it's very susceptible to be cracked, especially with straight shots. He can check off in fights, has moments and lapses. His feet defensively aren't necessarily great. And I hate how he holds his head over his center line at moments and dips his head forward. That leaves moments for him to be uppercutted. So let's go talk about his opponent, Fabio Wardley. Fabio Wardley versus David Adelaide. I think Fabio Wardley is pretty damn athletic. I don't know if there's necessarily going to be a huge athleticism gap between Fabio Wardley and Joseph Parker, but I would definitely range Fabio Wardley the more athletic fighter. Fabio Wardley likes to paw at your gloves and hand fight, which is very interesting to see for a heavyweight because you don't see that too often, a heavyweight with the power that's coming back to you. Wardley has a bad tendency to flaring his elbows, but he has a great tendency of cutting off the ring. I'm really impressed with his ring cutting. Not much of a follower, more of a cutter. Long, straight punches to the body. I don't love how he exits with his chin high, and he can definitely be reset. He was reset by David Adelaide so many times in this fight. He walked into multiple of Adelaide's jab irresponsibly. Round 3, he started to control the foot positioning, which is hilarious. We're going to see that in both of these fighters. Rounds 1 through 2, they seem to not really have control of the fight, but then round 3 comes on, they start to control that foot positioning and start putting the fight on that they want to control. He was landing heavy shots on the inside to the body. I really think Wardley will get iced one day. He has a really bad tendency of pulling his chin back high in the air with his hands down and no guard, almost like he's a Muay Thai fighter. So I think at some point he will get iced on it. But as the fight went on, he started cutting off on angles, and his angles offensively and defensively started looking slippery. One thing, if you were to put him on 2x speed, you're definitely going to be able to see that he doesn't really exit too many in straight lines. But again, the way he drops his hand and pulls his chin, it's just asking to be iced one day. I don't believe he has a great gas tank, but he didn't necessarily look depleted at round 7, which is the first time he's went to round 7 in his career in this fight. And he really put it on him. In round 7, you could tell he was kind of going through the gears and the motion. His jab looked strong. And then was the left to right hook that ended up finishing off David Adelaide while breaking off of a clinch. And then once David Adelaide got up, he really just swarmed him. The ref stopped it. David Adelaide looked a little pissed off that the ref stopped it, but it was a good stoppage here for you. Clark versus Wardley 1. What a pleasure this fight was. Fabio Wardley versus Fraser Clark 1. What an absolute pleasure this fight was. Please, guys, if you don't have a chance, or if you do have a chance, I'm sorry, go to YouTube and go watch this fight. Absolute pleasure it was. Clark directly was winning the inside foot battle, crashing and meeting Wardley in the middle and having a lot of success while crashing and meeting Wardley, which is also something to note with Joseph Parker when he's having a lot of success against Zhilei Zhang. Instantly, it seemed like Clark was getting the jab off early and often, but there was a lot of micro adjustments in this fight. It seemed when they were in linear exchanges and they were both throwing straight punches, it would seem that Wardley would try to go over top of those straight punches. And then Fraser Clark started meeting him over top. And now you had Fabio Wardley trying to go under those punches. And then you had Fraser Clark throwing punches underneath of that. It was just a lot of micro adjustments in this fight that I felt was a very high level tactical chess that people just see blood and guts, Britain war. And it wasn't that at all, especially in the early rounds. They were really having moments of fight IQ. And round 2 had moments of building on his own success when he started cutting off the ring, putting Clark's back against the ropes and started letting off punches. But then he had moments of holding his own back against the ropes in these same moments. He had a step off right hand at round 3 with a minute and 37 seconds left, where it just shows his offensive angles here. It didn't land necessarily clean, but it showed the offensive angles and what was more to. He literally was chasing Fraser Clark, caught him with a long right hand and dropped him in the 5th round. I didn't love Wardley's 12-round cardio and shape here, but in the last 10 seconds, he finished extremely strong. Wardley did not hand fight as much in this fight, so we saw a little bit of fight over fight improvement where he was trying to hold a tighter guard and a tighter shell as compared to his last fight against David Adelaide. Could have been due to game plan, could have been due to the power advantage that Fraser Clark may have over David Adelaide. Fabio Wardley versus Fraser Clark 2. It's hilarious how I said in his last fight he wasn't doing as much of pulling and countering and leave his chin out in the air, fighting more traditional high guard. In the first 25 seconds of the second fight, he literally does the hand drop chin pull. Hilarious. He was far more dedicated to his jab in the second fight. We saw early and often he was throwing it out as compared to the first jab. I feel like Wardley was definitely deficient in his jab. I felt like Wardley looked sluggish in this fight. I don't know what it was. I know he got the first round knockout, but before this knockout happened, it seemed like he was having a hard time getting going. He was dragging his feet when he was throwing the jab. There was a moment, too, as well, at a minute and 22 seconds where Wardley throws a 1-2. If you guys have a chance to go rewatch this fight, go look at his feet when he throws this 1-2. His knees almost buckle underneath him. It's very strange. The overhand right he did land. He came up from a setup from a feint to the body jab. He feinted body jab, came up high, feinted it again, and threw the overhand right, which landed on Fraser Clark, which got him out of there. So even though he did look sluggish, at least he still had a little bit of process there. But I don't know, guys. Maybe I'm tripping. You guys got to let me know if you guys thought his feet looked as sluggish as I did in that second Fraser Clark fight. So Wardley versus Justice Huoney. You had Wardley that had some moments on the inside winning exchanges, but outside of that, it was really a clear wash for Justice Huoney in the first round, 9 rounds. The jousting in and out work and the gliding in and out movement of Justice Huoney was giving Fabio Wardley all types of issues. Justice Huoney was coming in, stabbing the body, stabbing up top, and getting out before he ever had a chance. And then anytime he would hold Fabio Wardley's back against the ropes, he would get on his outside shoulder, dig a left hand to the body and a left hand up top while all staying on the outside shoulder, leaving Fabio Wardley no room to counter and react. In round 3, we saw Wardley have a little bit of catch and fire with his own back against the ropes on Huoney, but that was the only catch and fire or catch and shoot moments that he had with his own backs against the ropes. You did see here too, though, is after round 3, Wardley kind of started getting a beat on when Huoney was planting, coming in and out, and he started planting his own feet and trying to fire an overhand right or a sweeping left hand. He got close a few times with the shot, but it wasn't until round 10 where he caught Huoney coming in just at the perfect time with that overhand right and met him right in the middle, car crash, dropped him and finished off the job. This realistically was one-way traffic for Justice Huoney. I was one of the few lucky people that got Fabio Wardley by knockout live at plus 1,300 after round 6. But that fight shouldn't have went the way. Honestly, this was just Fabio Wardley finding a way to win, never quitting on himself, gritting through. Dude, go and listen to the crowd when this knockout happens. It breaks your computer speakers. It's absolutely insane, man. What moments, what moments, what moments. So I didn't write my likes and dislikes about Fabio Wardley. My apologies. So what do I like about Fabio Wardley? I think he's athletic. I think he has a long, good stab jab to the body. Never quits on himself. He has good equalizing power. Good inside work, good shapes. I love his ring cutting. He has good angles both offensively and defensively. I think he has some pretty good inside positioning, and I really love the way that his career and record has been built. It's been a perfect slow build and steady pace to where I think this is the perfect time to take the step up. What do I dislike about him? I don't love how his shape and cardio holds. I don't love that he is so often reset. He is very easy to be often reset. I think he's so hittable at the highest level, and I have no doubt that he will be iced one day. One day he's going to get devastatingly knocked out. So the question comes down to is how do I see this fight going? Joseph Parker versus Fabio Wardley. On one hand, I can see Joseph Parker using his veteran wisdom, coming in there, stabbing to the body, breaking down Fabio Wardley with feints, dips, knee bends, making him think, overloading him with pressure, stabbing that body, working that body with punch variation, finding something up top. When Fabio Wardley's caught on the ropes, unloading with combinations on the ropes, just really putting in that show of that toughness, that grittiness, that veteran IQ that Joseph Parker has. But then I have Fabio Wardley on one hand, who I think really struggled with the athleticism, the gliding in and out of someone like Justice Huny. And I don't necessarily know if Joseph Parker is as athletic as Justice Huny is. He has the same feet to glide in and out as Justice Huny anymore, especially if it's the same Joseph Parker, who I know won't be 267 pounds. But if it's that Joseph Parker that came in against Martin McCauley that looked that slow and sluggish, I have no doubt that Fabio Wardley will have the athleticism advantage in this case. But then you have to also break down the point too, as well as whose shape and cardio base is going to hold up to the highest degree. Because Joseph Parker, we have seen time and time again, have the better shape and cardio. I think he has the better ring IQ. But when it comes to who has the better feet, I would give the favor in this case to Wardley. I think Wardley is the bigger puncher too as well. I think by far the better ring IQ would have to go to Joseph Parker in this case too. This is a really close fight, guys. In a fight that I think is this close, how do I not take the underdog? How do I not stab the underdog? You can get Fabio Wardley right now at plus 275. Fabio Wardley right now at plus 275. I've already locked in a unit and a half on it. You guys can check out my picket if need be. I also think a sneaky line on this fight too, y'all, is Fabio Wardley by decision at plus 1,300. Fabio Wardley by decision at plus 1,300 is almost disrespectful. Joseph Parker is tough. He's gritty. He can definitely be cracked and make it all 12 rounds. And we could see an eeky close decision here in the O2 Arena where they're going to be going crazy for someone like Fabio Wardley. Guys, I like Fabio Wardley's money line and what I consider to be 55-45 fight in favor of Joseph Parker. How do I not take the almost 3-1 dog? And how do I not stab Fabio Wardley by decision, y'all? It's been another breakdown for you guys. As always, it's love, it's peace, it's chicken grease. Appreciate you guys. See y'all next time.